All right, so there's a phrase that we like to throw around here at the lab that states 99% of pain is bad form. Now, that is not factual scientific data or anything like that, but it's a great way to really understand how important it is to actually keep perfect positions and posture and technique with your strength training. Now, I do believe that this is pretty much the case, and I have found, over a decade of experience with this, thousands of hours working with clients, from various ages, from athletes, young and old. But I spent a lot of time with 50-year-olds and beyond, with past injuries and limitations and flexibility, surgeries, you name it. It always comes down to the right positions and technique. We find a sweet spot on how to do the appropriate exercise and technique for that exercise, and it starts to work out pain. So the second you start to load up weight to where it starts hurting, you got to look at what's falling apart. Some of the most minute details and positions can make all the difference. So whether it's an elbow flare, a wrist turn, a shoulder rotation, something that's so simple and subtle, you got to start picking up your awareness for that, whether you're a trainer or you're a client. Now, we focus on the postural position here, which is a posture where we pull the shoulder blades back and down. We've got a nice athletic neutral spine where we've got our appropriate curvatures locked into place. We're bracing in the core. We're locking everything nice, tight, and stable so there's no movements other than the appropriate muscle group that's being trained for that exercise. We want no other movements to take place. We have stable joints and we have mobile joints that should be working optimally in each exercise. The second something gets out of place, it's either a focus problem, it's an endurance problem, it's a strength problem, whatever the case might be, you need to fix that and you will find things start to clean up. Things should not hurt chronically here. There's going to be dings and things of that nature and good pain versus bad pain. In some cases, if you're really working hard consistently, you might get, sort of like tennis elbow, patella tendonitis, things of that nature. Those things can happen, but it's sometimes not necessarily your technique always, but it could be flexibility, mobility problems and things that you may have developed a muscle group a certain way chronically and it's imbalanced you a little bit, and you simply need to work on your flexibility and mobility to clean some of those issues up. But still consider how your technique and positions are. So think of strength in this way. So what I like to say is that strength is perfect positions under increasing loads, or the posture you live in is the posture you lift in is the posture you live in. So if you're lifting a weight and you can keep perfect positions with 0 pounds and you have no pain, well, we know the exercise is not the problem. You can do the movement without pain. So let's proceed. Let's add 1 pound. You do the exercise, no pain. All right, it's not the exercise. It's the weight and the load are so far so good. You continue to add weight and things don't hurt and you keep perfect positions. There's no technical breakdown. Finally, you get to, say, 101 pounds and things start to shift and move a little bit, but no pain. Well, that's your first warning sign that strength is not appropriate for that load and you have compensations there. You got to consider, although there's no pain there, there's something going on there, and depending on your focus for that exercise, you're changing that focus. You're not any longer reinforcing that position or pattern. So there's going to be consequences for that. But you may go up to 111 pounds and then you start feeling things a little awkward and weird, doesn't feel right, or perhaps in the next 2 days after that workout you start to feel things differently and it starts to bother you a little bit. But what happens if you continue to train that way chronically? You develop bad positions, you get those pains, you might get those itises around the elbows, knees, things like that. And that's really the root cause. So you got to take load off the bar and realize what is the appropriate amount of resistance for that exercise. You don't need to get completely anal and freaked out by any little movement. Some of that's going to happen, but it's how you focus and approach that exercise and know the difference between good and bad form. The more resilient and healthy your body is, the more you can get away with some English or some gray areas here, but that's not where you want to live. You want to push yourself to your limit and know what that tip-off point is and live as close to that as possible so you can keep healthy positions, not have chronic pain, but still make progress in your composition. If you go too far to one spectrum, you end up, if you get too messy, you're going to beat yourself up and get injured. If you stay too light and perfect robotic, you're never going to really get perhaps the body composition or strength training performance changes that you're really looking for. So you got to have a balance of technique and intensity on that. So realize, though, that exercises are sometimes to blame, and that's not really justifiable. Sometimes it's the exercise, the technique that you're using. Sometimes you're using improper mechanics or a style of exercise. So whether it could be a squatting style, it could be the way you bench press, it could be the way you hold a dumbbell. Simple little adjustments like that can make all the difference in that pain. Sometimes you may have done an exercise too long a certain way. You need to change something as simple as your grip, the width of your grip, the way you hold the dumbbell, the way you stand. Little things like that can make all the difference. So many times I hate to see the exercise be the victim of the problem when it's simply execution or how much weight's on the bar. I challenge you to go out there and find an exercise that hurts you, and then take load off the bar and perfect that technique and see how much better it feels. Exercises should make you feel better, and the whole goal with them is to break down muscular tissue, connective tissues will all heal in the recovery phase in a better position. So when I said earlier the posture you lift in is the posture you live in, you're building a better body and position every single day you train. You're building a stronger version of yourself to where you're breaking things down, building it back up, and you recover with a better posture and position. So you're reinforcing the best position you can possibly develop for yourself. So at the end of the day, the net effect is you should feel better. So of course, the harder it gets, the more advanced you get, the harder it is, and the more pain you may experience. But that's good pain versus bad pain, and know the difference. So don't jump the gun and throw exercise out the window. Make sure you're doing it correctly. Make sure your technique's correct, and make sure you're just not breaking down from bad technique. Maybe your warm-up process wasn't appropriate, but so many times we've seen exercises, complete 180 and simple technique and execution. So get the benefit out of these exercises. Most exercises are probably not bad, and I would say, I'd say that in two different ways. Every exercise can hurt you. Any exercise can be dangerous. Not any one exercise to me stands out as don't ever do that necessarily. Okay, I could think of a few probably. But at the end of the day, it's how you do the exercise that makes it dangerous for you. So perfect technique is the first thing you need to consider. Then intensity to get the results you're after. So balance the two and experience less pain.